So I just wanted to make a quick video about the concept of human rights. And, I'm running for Congress, and the reason this is coming up is because a lot of the policies that I have are about forcing the country to honor or to protect the human rights that we have um, simply by virtue of being alive. And oftentimes I'll say something like, housing is a human right or healthcare is a human right. And inevitably, there'll be somebody in the comments who will say something like, well, housing is a human right. It's every man for himself, essentially, right? They'll say something like, you only get housing if you work for it. Completely ignoring the fact that there are lots of things that we provide to citizens of the country that you don't necessarily work for, right? So, for example, safety. The U.S. military doesn't, bill you directly for your safety and your protection from foreign invaders or something like this. And so there's some things that we agree are that should just be provided to people, and um, housing is one of those things that I think that we need to understand should be provided to people, and so on for healthcare. So, in order to understand why this is the case, we have to think about what is the purpose of government in the first place, right? Why does a government exist? Because the government exists only, and it derives its powers only from the consent of the governed. Okay, and what does that mean? That just means that the government has authority over the governed only because the people who the government is in charge of governing, only because the governed agree that it's so. So, next, why would the governed agree to be governed? Okay? The governed would agree to be governed only in exchange for services. Uh, the most basic service that the governed agree to be governed for is safety. So, for example, I mentioned we have the military. People agree that the government should provide safety to its citizens, and this is a fair exchange. In exchange for being told what to do by the government, you get the protection by the government. Okay, so I think we need to start to understand the government as a service provider in that way. So then let's think about, how does a government even come to be in the first place? Okay, so if we think back to the time before governments existed, there were, the way that people lived is in families, extended families, and then those extended families were, tribes and clans, and when someone needed housing, if you lived in this sort of situation, then the clan or the family or the tribe would get together and they would all work together to build the person who needs the house a house. When someone got sick, the tribe would come together and ensure that that person was taken care of. And when someone was pregnant and gave birth to a child, the family or tribe or the clan would get together and assure that that child or children were taken care of. As we grow from being in small units like tribes and clans, and it becomes multi-clan or multi-tribe organizations, then the need for a government comes to be. And essentially what happens is we're looking for a more efficient way to provide the same sorts of services that a singular clan would provide to a member within it, across this larger set of individuals. So the idea of a government naturally kind of rises from that. So now we consider, what are rights? Rights are those things that the government must provide to the citizens in exchange for being governed, for the agreeing to be governed by the government. Um, and what I'm saying is these things that we're calling human rights are the bare minimum set of things that would have been provided in that pre-government stage amongst the clans, amongst the tribes. Um, those are the things that would have been provided if there were no government. So we can't then decide that we're going to set up a government and agree to be governed and then have less rights and less services and less benefits and less duties to each other than we would have had pre-government.